right back to phones here. Phones are absolutely loaded, and I got into this long argument with Chris. Chris has called the show in the past. I mean, who calls up a radio show and, in light of what the Iranians have done, who calls up a radio show and tries to defend them? Look for ways for Iranians to continue what is clearly not just a peaceful nuclear energy program. I mean, who does that? A self-hating American? I mean, someone that loathes this country? Who does that? If you heard the last call, you know what I'm talking about. And the Iranians are not good world citizens. They are pariahs on the planet. And, you can't look back and say that Iran, that to stop the Iranians comply. And they didn't. They haven't done anything. Instead, we're uncovering and we're revealing secret facilities and catching them off guard. Yeah, and then, Chris, call up and defend that. As they're launching missiles, as they try to be provocative. Now, with the Shahab 3, they do have range to hit missiles or launch missiles into Israel. And the Shahab 3 is capable of carrying a nuclear payload. Read Article 4. I mean, I don't give a flying crap about Article 4 of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. I don't care. It is a pariah and a rogue nation, Chris, and you call the program to defend them. How about if a nuclear bomb or a missile from the Iranians, how about if it just lands in your backyard? Nice small little package, little tactical nuke. How about that? And it just blows you and your family to kingdom come. How about that? Still going to be supporting the Iranians then? You turncoat anti-American weasel, you pile of crap. My wife says, don't call names. Don't name. I'm sorry, I can't hold back when somebody like that calls this program. Welcome back to Schnitt, our third hour here. 1-800-801-8999. It's toll-free nationwide. 1-800-801-8999. Let's grab Carl. Carl is listening in Tampa, 970 WFLA. Hello, Carl. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Schnitt. Thanks for taking my call.
Hi.
In light of what's happened here recently with Iran and I guess the lack of response from this administration, and also, considering the Democrats seem to have a more sympathetic view towards Palestine, what's your opinion on why you think that such a large portion of Jewish Americans in this country vote Democrat?
I think it's a good call, especially on today being Yom Kippur, which is the Jewish Day of Atonement.
Right.
The holiest of Jewish holidays. Essentially, I think most scholars, I think it's traced back essentially to FDR and FDR's social programs of the day. I mean, come on. Give me a freaking break here. I said freaking. I could also say friggin'. I just don't want to do the Saturday Night Live slip-up. Which, remind me, I got to mention that. That bit was waiting to screw up. I'll get into that in just a bit. Article 4. Here you go, Chris. We've pulled Article 4 off the internet from Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. What is it, like 1970 or whatever it was? Nothing in this treaty shall be interpreted as affecting the inalienable right of all the parties to the treaty to develop research, production, and use of nuclear energy for peaceful purposes without discrimination and in conformity with Articles 1 and 2 of this treaty. So this hack job, this anti-American, traitorous, seditious blank that phoned this program in support of Iran, you don't get it. That, first of all, they're supposed to stop their enrichment because the world doesn't believe them, and they've refused. We now know of this new secret facility, for instance, at Qom, which is too small to be a facility for the enrichment of uranium for peaceful purposes or for nuclear power. And the facility, unbelievably, again, is on a Revolutionary Guard base. Why would you have a peaceful nuclear enrichment program for reactor use, for energy? Why would you have that on the Revolutionary Guard base in Qom, in Iran? It just makes no sense, Chris. But then again, you're rooting for the bad guy, aren't you? That's how it appears. And just absolutely nauseates me. Unbelievable. Nuclear non-proliferation. See, the treaty on NNPT opened for signature on July 1st, 1968. You got 189 countries party to the treaty. As far as Iran is not a signatory anymore. Technically, in the beginning, I think they signed on in 1970. It opened up in 68. I want to say that Iran signed on in early 70s. They're violating everything. They might be early signatories, but they violated that. They have not complied. In 2003, they were found non-compliant. They're dead. They're off it. And the Israelis need to bomb their facilities as soon as possible. We've got some amazing digging, ground burrowing conventional weapons that need to be used. I know we've got some bunker busters. Was the Blue 82, Blue 182? That was an experimental. And there are also some bombs that are, I think, almost ready, that are not quite ready, that would do the trick and really burrow down numerous stories and be able to blow the living, you-know-what, out of the Iranian facilities. Don next on Schnitt. Hello, Don. Welcome.
Well, that was the clip of of my call into the Schnitt Show on September 28th. And I'd like to know what you think about that, about Schnitt being such a pro-war propagandist as is his pattern. You can reach us here in Pinellas County at 727-441-3000. That's 727-441-3000. Toll free, 866-826-1340. That's 866-TAN-1340. The website is theliberationstation.com. And I wanted to first, before we take Dennis on the line, just read to you Article 4 of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, to which Iran is a signatory. Contrary, I must repeatedly state that in case there's any confusion. Amazing how what some propagandists get away with and get paid for. But Article 4 of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, Schnitt only read the first sentence of, and I need to read the entire thing. Article 4 says, nothing in this treaty shall be interpreted as affecting the inalienable right of all the parties to the treaty to develop, research, production, and use of nuclear energy for peaceful purposes without discrimination and in conformity with Articles 1 and 2 of this treaty. All the parties to the treaty undertake to facilitate and have the right to participate in the fullest possible exchange of equipment, materials, and scientific and technological information for the peaceful uses of nuclear energy. Parties to the treaty in a position to do so shall also cooperate in contributing alone or together with other states or international organizations to the further development of the applications of nuclear energy for peaceful purposes, especially in the territories of non-nuclear weapon states party to the treaty, with due consideration for the needs of the developing areas of the world. And that is the entirety of Article 4, which obviously Todd Schnitt did not read on the air. And that it's obvious why, because if he had, he would have been able to answer his very own question, which he obviously wasn't willing to answer, which is, well, my question, he wasn't willing to answer, which was, why isn't the United States taking advantage of Article 4 in order to go in and inspect the Iranian facilities rather than depending on the UN to do so, as I said. And yet he just goes ahead and he pretends to read Article 4, and he thinks that you're not smart enough to know the difference. He thinks that his audience isn't going to go check it out for themselves. She really thinks that his audience are a bunch of fools. And he's a fool himself, obviously. He's insane for having laughed at the idea of letting Israel bomb Iran and spreading nuclear material all over. But that really doesn't seem to be much of a concern, nor do the Russians or the Chinese, who would stick up for the Iranians.